So we've just learned about the basics of Kotlin, and I want to play around a little bit with that code, but not necessarily worrying about the project I'm working on. I just want to experiment with Kotlin code for a little bit. In Android Studio, I can go to the Tools menu and choose Kotlin REPL. And REPL stands for Read, Evaluate, Print, Loop. It's basically a playground for doing some coding. I can write some code and test it. Now I've chosen Gradle scripts over in the Android project. I'm going to choose Kotlin REPL, and I get this little context module. Do I want to do it in just the project Visit Slovenia or in my app? I don't want to do it in the app because I'll get an error, and I'll show you that error here in a minute. I'm going to choose Visit Slovenia. And here then is the REPL, and I can enter code. So I can choose to print South Mountain. And if I do a Control Enter, I will see the result. Let's do something a little bit fancier here. Let's create a variable, as we did earlier, campus equals South Mountain. I want to know how many characters in that, so I'm going to create a value. I'm going to call it len equals campus.length, and I'm going to print that, so we'll say print. I'll do some string interpolation here of there are $len characters in $campus. And I'm just going to print or press the Control Enter at this point, and I'm told my output there are 14 characters in South Mountain. So it's running the code that I have written and displaying the output up here above. Now I'm going to come back and select my main activity. So now I'm inside my app, and if I go to Tools and choose Kotlin REPL, I get this error. And it's trying to run it in the app, but it's not tied to my app. And so it's having a hard time launching the REPL. So I'm going to close that little screen. I'm going to come back to Gradle scripts, choose Tools, Kotlin REPL, and again, if I chose the Visit Slovenia.app, I'm going to get that same error. So the trick here is to choose. It didn't give me the option, so I'm going to come back up here, select main activity, come back to Gradle scripts, Tools, Kotlin REPL, and now I get the choice. Do I want to do it in the project or in the app? And if I choose the project, I can use the REPL to play around with my code. Now, there's also a thing called Scratch in Android Studio. And there I can go to the File menu and choose New Scratch File. And when I choose Scratch File, I have a choice of what kind of Scratch file do I want to work with. Notice I can do Java, I can do JSON, HTML. Well, what I want is Kotlin. And I already have Kotlin selected up here. Here then is my Scratch file for Kotlin. So I'm just going to paste in some code that I've written previously. And so I'm going to use a loop that I demonstrated earlier, or talked about earlier, for I in 10 down to 0, step 2. So we're going to go from 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Each time I'm going to print the value of I with 2 periods. And then I'm going to print blast off to conclude that line. So this is a print line. So print ln, where this print does not have a carriage return. The print line does. Then I've got a variable a and b. I'm going to divide a by b, so this will be an integer division. But then I'm going to do another division and convert a to double and b to double, and then I'll print out c and d. So c will be the integer division, d will be a decimal division. I'm then calling my main function, and so now I can click this Run Scratch File green Start button, and it shows me what the output is for each line of code. Now, this code is all RAM when I call the main function, so that's where my code is showing. And notice there's a little plus sign over here on the right-hand side, and I can see the 2 and the 2.8. So now it's showing the code that comes from that function. And notice it highlighted the function, and I can see the results. You can clear by clicking the trash can, clear the results, and do some more code. There's an interactive mode that will show the results as you provide code. There's two options over here on the right-hand side. One is the side panel mode, which is what we're using. The other one, it's going to put the results to the right here in our window. So if I do test, I'm now seeing the test results there. The problem with this one, because there might be other lines of code, it can't use the space to demonstrate the different programming lines. So I don't like to use that mode. I'd prefer to use the side panel and run my project there. So two ways to play with code in Android Studio. I want to show you one more way, and that is the kotlinlang.org. Go into kotlinlang.org. I'm going to click the play menu item. So here's some code I was writing earlier. So I can write my code, and then I can click the run button and see the results. So here, Campus South Mountain. I'm going to find the length and put it into a value called len, and then I'm going to do some string interpolation of there are $len characters in $campus, and that shows there are 14 characters in South Mountain. Then I did a little mutable list that's a value, but to demonstrate that I can modify that value list, I added 24 to it, and I printed it out, and you see 24 is part of that list. And then I did the 10 down to 0, step 2, print and blast off that I just demonstrated. The nice thing about this environment of kotlinlang.org is you can run this on your Android phone or an iPhone or a tablet. You don't have to have Android Studio on your device to play around with Kotlin code. You might find that helpful in making use of your time when you're away from your computer and you want to test maybe some Kotlin code. So I would strongly encourage you to go into one of these three playgrounds, whether it's kotlinlang.org or in Android Studio, the REPL or Scratch file, and just play around with some Kotlin code. Try some of the things that I showed in the previous video as far as code. Go through the documents here in Kotlin Lang and pull out some examples and just play with it. Get a feel for how you can write better Kotlin code. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Android App Development Cohort playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.